Welcome to today's Impact webinar. What you see here is my browser access to my cloud computing. So as everybody is, we're doing cloud computing, and Impact is designed for desktop and or cloud. So let me go into my cloud. Here's my cloud PC. So I'm going to launch ACT. And what we're going to show you is the list view in ACT. Some of the new features, but let's just talk about the list view inside of ACT. So ACT is launching on my cloud. And what we're going to do is show you how ACT handles, lookups and criteria and things like that, and how Impact can improve that for you. So here we are on the contact list, classic contact list, CRM program. And what ACT does is it presents you with the information and you drill down into the contact record to set notes and histories and appointments, classic CRM stuff. I want to work with my ACT data. I want to mine it a little bit. What ACT will tell you is there's a reporting tool that you can put in criteria and conditions and you get reports out of it. Impact has a report designer too. But ACT does have, lookup, right? So I'm going to go in advance. I'm going to say I want to look up, and I want to say the state equals California or the state equals Arizona. I may already have conditions saved. So I'm going to open up an existing condition. Again, this is all ACT stuff. So I am now about 4 clicks away, and I click on OK, and now I have that query in place. If I say, I don't want Arizona, I want New York, well, you have to go all the way back into Tools, and then again, Advanced Query, and you say, okay, well, let's go and open up this condition, and then you can modify the condition or add to the condition, and then go and do it. That's a long about way to do it. And when it's done, it presents you with a list just filtered on that. So with Impact installed, I can see Impact Suite is installed here. We have an enhanced option right here. So we're going to take the contact list and say, let's enhance that list. Okay, now we have our list enhanced. And you can toggle this on and off, go back to ACT's native one, go back to ours. And what we have here on our list is a couple of things. Let's just talk about the look, right? I may want to make the fonts larger, right? Or I may want to change colors down there. Down here on the bottom, we have color rules. So if I just say, hey, I'm going to right click on here and say select all, it applies colors based on rules. So let me just right click and say select all. Well, what we also have here is larger, smaller, taller, and shorter. Well, this has to do with the font. So I can go and change my font, and I can say, well, I want Arial font. And I'll say okay to that. Arial, I don't like Arial. I'm going to change it back to, okay, that looks good, but I may want the font to be a little bit larger. And I can just sit here and say, well, I want a larger font. And see, it just makes it larger for us. And you may make it large enough where it starts to bleed over the height of the row. Well, that's what the taller and the shorter is. So I can say, I want it larger and I want it taller. Or I want it smaller and I want it shorter. Also on Impact, since we have all these filters down here, real estate's at a premium. You might not want to see these filters on here. So we now have a quick little filter panel. These are panels at the bottom. Toggle switch, so you can turn off your filter panels. Once you have it set, then you can scroll through your data. And if you want to get back to your filter panels, you just click once and you have your filter panels back on. Okay, the second thing is those lookups I had to go and do 8 clicks for inside of ACT. Those lookups are here. If you save the lookup, they're presented right in this list. So if I say I want everybody inside the US, I just click on it and there it goes. It's 68. I want ACT employees, another condition I have, and there's everybody with ACT.com in their email address. So these lookups are being done for me. As you see, it's leaving a trail of, it found 24, it found 268. So that's very nice. It lets you know here. And if I want to manage these lookups, I can just click on manage. What's my valid email look like? So it says email status. So I can right from here go in and manage all my lookups. You're going to see how this is going to be really powerful in a few minutes as we get into this. But this is how we manage lookups inside of ACT. And here's one thing that's cool. I went into manage lookups when I say okay. What it does is it does a count of them all. It doesn't do it all the time because there's a bit of overhead. But if you go to manage lookups and you just say okay, it'll show you the counts under here. Okay, another way that we can do lookups or filter criteria on here is, let's just go back and just say lookup all. So we're looking at all the contacts on here. Well, down here we have date panels. This is the date range, and I can say create a date today and the last 90 days. So show me all the records. So they were all created. It's create date last 7 days, 315 of them. We pulled them all in, so they're all in there. But we may want to look at other date range criteria. If we click on this drop down here, we have all the fields in the contact table, all the date fields. One of the date fields is last email. So let's just say last email. Well, I'm going to look at my last email today and last 7 days. Well, that's everybody I sent an email to yesterday and everybody, for the last 7 days. Well, I want to find old data, right? So if I keep scrolling down here, I have things that are new here. It's older than 30 days. So it's not today and 30, because that would give us yesterday. This is everything that's older than 30 days. So we can see these are older than 30 days, or older than 60, or older than 90 days. Okay, I have everybody that's older than a year. There are 8 records matching this condition. I'm going to start doing some grouping on here. Now, this is only 8 records, so let me go back and pull in everybody, which in this ACT demo database happens to be just under 500, 450. So I'm looking at this list and I'm saying, well, yeah, I want to know, what city they're in, right? So I can look up by city. Oh, there's city. I want to say, what's by state? Well, a lot of them don't have states in there, but there's my Arizona and things like that. I would like to know data on here without having to design a report. What I want to do is I want to do grouping. So up here, we have our grouping button now. So if I click on grouping, it then says you can group. You group by 4 deep. I'm just going to select one right now. I want to say by state. So I'm going to say by state. I'm going to say okay. And we're now grouped by state. If we scroll down here, you're going to start seeing the grouping in here. And some of these groups are expanded or collapsed, so individual groups. What we can do here is we go, see the grouping button? We now have a plus and minus side, which is expand all the groups, so I can see all the data, or collapse all the groups. And inside of here now, I can see that, oh look, in New York, I got 26. Or in Pennsylvania, I have 10. So you have the ability to group right here on the list. Now the grouping, you may want totals under here, right? So like there's a total column by the count, but maybe you wanted a count by the state. If I right click on this and say show totals for this column, there's the total columns on there. Maybe I don't want it here. I can just hide and remove totals. So I can do that to any column I want is showing the totals on. At the bottom, why is it 456, 447, and 369? These are the totals of the count. If it's empty, it returns nothing, a 0. So we have a bunch of nones in there, which resulted as a 0. But out of the list, we have 369 of the 456 have a state into it. And that can be changed. If you want to go here and right-click and go in a little more detail, you say edit the column. And instead of the value count, we just want to say, I want the true count. You'll see that comes up to the 456 number. So it's counting every row rather than counting the value in each row. And if you don't want grouping on, if you just go back onto the grouping button, you say close, it'll close the grouping system and leave you back on your list view. Now on the list view, one thing we do inside of Impact is we allow you to have multiple layouts. The boss may come along and every Friday he says, hey, send me all these files in an Excel file format. So all these fields. And it might be everybody that's today in the last 90 days. So he wants to see everything older than 60 days where the last email is. And he wants to see a bunch of fields, right? So I'm going to go to the fields and I'm just going to randomly, select some fields. So he wants to see the department. He wants to see club associates. Again, I'm just randomly selecting fields inside of here. So now I have all these fields here. What you traditionally do, and you can do with ACT or with Impact, if you right click, you can say, hey, data, I just want to export the data. Very simple. Export, ask you for an export name. And it exported, and Excel is ready for us. And here is Excel with that data. So you'd save the file, attach it to an email, and send. But that's done very nicely. You don't have to go add the columns in ACT, well, you'd have to do an ACT, and then you'd have to remove all the columns. We just allow you to have multiple layouts. Okay, well, this is nice. So I have these, but what's my action event? I want to send them all an email saying, a follow-up. Hey, have you looked at a new product line? Hey, haven't heard from you in a while. Hey, how's the wife doing? How's the city of Philadelphia doing? So what we can do inside of here now is create a notification. So a notification is an email notification to the contacts that you have on the list based on criteria. Not just these 5 contacts or 4, 6, or 8, or 14 contacts. It's based on the actual criteria. So we're going to create a notification. So we just go here, notifications, create notification, contact older than 60 days. I'll say okay. And I'm going to make some modifications to this email. So I'm going to say, hey, how is this city? Now, what you do here is, how is your city this time of year, Bob? So if we come along and say, how is, now the city is, we want to go to the contact fields. So there's a city field, right? So I'm going to say, how is Philadelphia this time of year? How is Boston this time of year? So you can personalize it. Haven't heard from you. Hey, Bob, we're creating, I'm sorry, I'm double clicking. We're creating our personalized email to these users. Now, this is going to be disjointed because I'm butting 2 webinars together. So we're going to continue on, but this is going to change from 8 to 14 because the webinar was recorded a different day, so there was different criteria. Got that. Just double check my audio, see if I'm still broadcasting. All right, so again, to go back here, we have an email here that we want to send out. So over here, it's showing the list of the 14 people that match this condition. So if I highlight one of them and I say run, I can say preview that selected email. Oh, no, I typo. Well, let me go back and change that. So how, this is what's great about a preview. How is the city doing? So if I just say preview the selected, how is Dunwoody this time of year? So it's showing you what the email is going to be before you send it out. So I'll preview that selected one. And what it's doing, it's using that record, that email contact, and it's populating, hey, Ben, how's Los Angeles this time of year? So a very personalized way to do that. Now, I can run it, I can preview it as I just did, but I could just say, send all the emails right now. So I'm just going to do that. Send all the emails right now. Boom. So it's putting those together, and it's generating 14 emails to go out. Now, this is nice. We'll give this a couple seconds to it. When it sends out the email, it doesn't just go nanosecond. It actually pauses a couple of seconds like a natural thing. So you send out this email, 8 seconds later, you send out this email. 16 seconds later, you send out. It sends it on a random pattern. So if you come in here and you say, I want to send out 200 emails, which you can do, I'd send 1,000 emails. If you send out 1,000 emails a nanosecond apart, then, it might be classified as your automation and everything else and not spam or whatever, but the engines may look at it a little different. But now, since we give a random kind of setting to this, send it out this many seconds apart, send it out, then the email spam catchers will be like, well, that's not, 18 emails in 1.2 seconds. This is sending them out, and because it does this, we're going to have to take this pregnant pause here. Let me just talk about this, right? So I'm sending out these 14 emails right now, based on the criteria that the last email date was above 90 days or 60 days or 180, whatever you chose. I can automate this even a step further to say, well, once a month or once a week or once a day, whatever you want, send out this exact email to everybody in my contacts that now match that condition. So in a month from now, when this goes to run on the first of the month, it's going to find all the contacts that now on the first of the month match this condition. So it's not just instantaneous, here's my list, send out 14. It's criteria based. So you could send this out. So again, look, we're almost done here. And if you've been putting your eyeballs here down on the lower right-hand corner, that's what I've been talking about. Run this on a schedule. Okay. So it's done sending them. In fact, if I went into my Outlook account right now, and here's my sent items, right? There they all are. Sent out, going on. So again, it's sending them via your Outlook account inside of your Windows, and it should just be done in a second. Okay, let me go back to the schedule. There it is, send complete. It's sent out. Well, I'll save it closed. Maybe this is a one-time deal. Boom, older than 60 days. I've caught up to everybody. But I want to go back to that notification, and here, if I go to notifications, contacts email older than 60 days. I go back and edit it. I may want to send it out again. Now, as you can see, nobody matches that condition. The reason being that those 14 don't match it anymore is we created a history event, right, inside of ACT that you sent out an email to them, recorded in the history event. So it won't send it out multiple times. So once you create this notification, the client will only get notified once, that only get one email notification. So even if you set it to run every day, hey, I want to run every day. Now I clicked on run on a schedule. I'll say okay. It's asking you for your credentials to log into the database, because you can be saying, hey, run this at 4 a.m. or 6 a.m. The automation doesn't require ACT being launched. So ACT may not be running. And it actually, the automation runs in the background. It doesn't need ACT launched to do it. So again, it's asking for the credentials so it could set up and run it. And I want to run it every day at 4 a.m. Right? And I want to run it those days. So that's it. It's set to run on a schedule now. Now, this is a cap on here, the amount of emails per day. So say you had, hey, the contact created date is today, right? That's great. Contact created date is today. So every time you create a new contact, you have a notification set up saying, hey, thank you for joining the Impact team. We're glad you, here's a link to the downloads, here's a link to support. You just want to send out a friendly email to all your new contacts. Great. Maybe you get 100 contacts a day. That's great. Well, say you did an import and you imported 5,000 contacts in your ACT database from your old ACT database or whatever, you imported 5,000. Well, you'd have on one day 5,000 contacts that match the criteria of the contact created date equals today. We don't want to send out 5,000. In fact, we cap it. And that's what this is. So what is the maximum amount of emails that you're going to send out based on this criteria? So under that case, I'd say, oh, I'll only send out 200. So every time I get a new contact, send out 200 emails that day. If you import 1,000 contacts, what'll happen is the first day, it'll send out 200, and then it'll creep along and send out the next 200, the next 200, the next 200, the next 200. So it will eventually catch up and send out to all 1,000 contacts, but it'll send it at a pattern of maximum amount of emails per day. And inside of here, if this says how many days it'll take, well, I don't have 1,000 in here. If I had 1,000 in the condition, this would say 200 emails for 5 days. Right now, I'm just going to go back, set it to 20 just to say. So that's what I've done. I've created an email based on the list view. Now let's look at what we did. We haven't really left the we haven't left the contact list view. I showed you all this great stuff of how to do managed lookups and everything else. I haven't jumped around 101 different screens. And in fact, the notification screen, other than going into some of the ACT stuff, the notification screen is the only screen that's come forward and sat on top of here. And this is an email notification screen. You need a big screen to design emails. So everything I've done so far has been on one screen. All right, that's notifications. And notifications are to your contacts, your customers, your clients. You want to notify them of some event. Well, also, if this happens and these are older than 60 days, maybe we want to get an alert sent to the employees. In fact, let's just flop into opportunities, because this is where an alerting system is really powerful. So here I am in ACTS opportunity list, and again, I'm going to enhance it. So here it is, and let's just go into here. I have some conditions here. So all dates, open and active. I can have all these different things. I want everything that's open. Wow, great! I got $116,000 in open. Well, what's the estimated close date? How old are these? Well, I'm going to say, if I said, give me the estimated close date today in the last 30 days, well, that's great, but it might be just yesterday. So today in the last 30 days, it works well for everything 30 days old, but I want to find things that have fallen off. I want to be alerted where the estimated close date is older than 30 days, or the estimated close date is older than 90 days. So right here, I'm looking at my opportunity list. Again, I'm just working on the opportunity list. I'm setting all my filters by conditions. I can go into lookups. I have lookup managers over here. I have the ability to change my layouts, everything on the same screen. But here's my estimated close date is older than 60 days. Well, I can send notifications to those users and say, hey, Charlie, we gave you an estimate and we said the close date was the 15th. It's past the 15th. Where are you? Well, I want my sales guys to know it. I don't want the automation just to be sending out emails. So I want to create an alert. So I'm going to say create an alert. And the same thing, opportunity, I'll put in estimate, close date, and I'm just going to call this estimate, just for argument. Demo, estimate, and I don't spell estimate, close date, estimate, close date. I'm going to say okay to that. Now, what an alert notifications have very similar in common, of course, is we're sending out emails, we're sending out notifications, or we're sending alerts. And it's building up this alert for us. First time, okay, a couple more seconds. And you're going to see why it's taking a couple of seconds to build it here. So here, good morning, and this is going to the boss. Good morning, Joe. Here are older estimate close dates. Older than, what do we say, 60 days. So what we're sending is an email to a particular user. So underneath here, we'll say, well, this goes to the sales team. So we'll say sales@impactact.com, and we'll say this is a weekly stale report. Now, why is this a report rather than an alert? I mean, that's an email that goes out to somebody. And we have spelling in here, of course, too. That's an email that goes out, but what it did, and this is a couple extra seconds that it did, it's not just going to send out this email, it's actually going to send out a report. So instead of you having to go in and design the report, there's the report, right? Instead of you having to go into the report designer, ACTS report designer, or impacts report designer, it designed the report for you. And look, it designed it based on what you had up here already. So what we talk about is what you're looking at on the screen. You're creating reports. I can go run this report in the report designer, but this is a report that is now packaged together as an alert and sent to sales@impact.com. Now, when I'm sending it out, we have options over here. I want to send out an email, and I could say send it as a PDF, or he may want to send it as an Excel file. Remember at the beginning of this webinar, I said, oh, the boss wants you to send out that Excel file, right? When you set up that Excel file, like I said, right click and say send it to Excel, then I'd have to save it, open up an email, package it. I could have just done one step further from where I was there and say, hey, create this as an alert. Here are the 18 fields he needs. He wants it every Monday morning. Done. It's gone. That's how easy it would have been back then. All right, so here I am again on opportunities. So I'm going to send it as an email. Now I can send it as an email. I'm going to select a PDF file, right? Well, when I'm setting this up here, if I click on the preview button, it's going to give me an email preview, and it's going to package together the PDF file, the report, out of the PDF file, attach it to the email, and present it to me. And it's actually flashing down here. Let's go and see what it looks like. Here it is. Here it's ready to send. This is an Outlook, ready to send form. And there it is. Let's go and look at what this attachment looks like. Ah, yes, it's a PDF. And look at that. It's identical to what was on my screen behind it. Here's the screen, right? So whatever I did on this screen is now packaged together in an email ready to send out. I'm going to say save changes. No, let's go back into ACT. All right, so let's go back into the alert. I closed it down really quick there to get to it. But opportunity demo, here it is. Opportunity demo. Right, so it's attached as a PDF. What's actually kind of cool is embedded in the email too. So the user doesn't even have to open up. Actually, I'm going to do that because I like it. So again, it's packaging up the report based on all the conditions, all the columns we have. There's the email. See, it's right inside of it. It's attached to it. It's the body of the email. It's not even an attachment. Say changes. Okay. There's a couple of things here about collapsing the details and hiding the header and footer. Like if I say hide header and footer just to show you, and I go back into it, then you don't get that big header list at the top. Oh, did I say send? There it is. See, it took out the header and it's just giving you the row. He knows these are opportunities for the week. He doesn't need the big header. So there's a couple of visual options you have inside of here. Okay, so this is ready to send, or I can send this out right now. Like I sent those 14 notifications, but I want this to run on a monthly basis to pick up all the opportunities where the estimated close date fell off the grid and it's older than 60 days. So I'm going to say run this on a schedule. And the same thing, you need to put in your credentials. I don't have a database. And I don't want to run it daily. I want to run it monthly. And I want to run it on the first day of the month, or I want to run it on the first Monday of every month, whatever you want. So it's just a pattern here of when you run it. So once you come along and do that, it will automatically run. Now, also on here in the middle, you might have seen it and saying, what's that? Create an activity. So yeah, it's nice I'm sending an email to the boss. So here's the 4 that are old and stale, but I want to create an activity inside of ACT, and I want to create, hey, a to-do, and I want to create it for Jim Durkin, and I say, needs attention. So what this will do is it'll create an activity on Jim's calendar, and here's what's cool. It takes the report, this information, this preview over here, and it puts it into the email notes field. So when he gets he gets an activity on Monday morning, he opens it up and he can look at the notes and he'll say, hey, here's your 4 opportunities that the estimated close date is stale. You need to do something about that. So that is the alert. So let's just save and close this. Now, when I was doing the alerts underneath here, As you can see, I had done some other ones. Now, I had set alerts just for the older than 60 days. I have other alerts in here that says, hey, here's all the open opportunities for Jim. So let's go and look at what Jim's open opportunities are. And if we go do the preview, I may have done this alert 2 months ago. It doesn't matter because it's criteria based. Oh, look, Jim does not have anything that's open. All right, so let's just close that one down. Let's just see if we have a different one today. And how about for Fred? So what I'm getting at now, I was just putting in test stuff in there. So this is set to run daily, Monday morning, 7 a.m., an email. It embeds it into the email, and it sends support at email. Well, maybe this is for Fred. So I can just select Fred. So here's Fred's report. Now it goes to, the sales team too, but I can select any user in here and go Fred. And if you want to CC, it's like, okay, Fred, but Fred's boss is Jim, so he gets CC'd on this email. So this email will run every Monday morning at 7 a.m. and send those 3 people notifications of all the records that Fred has based on criteria. Don't want to over harp on this, but one of the things which is cool, this can be anything we want, right? It's any criteria. It's unlimited. Let me go into a custom table. Do I have a custom table? I know I have custom tables in this database. Oh, I don't like Axe native native navigation bar. So, an impact, if you enhance, you can enhance the nav bar. So I'll say, okay. So here's the enhanced nav bar. And I have custom tables in here. And I have other, previous favorites, radius. You can go and check those out. But I want to go into mortgages. So here's my mortgage table, right? So I'm tracking mortgages. I'm doing all that stuff. And I have disbursement date, whether they've been dispersed or not. And these are blank. I can say, well, everything hasn't been dispersed, or a dispersed date is X days old. Create an alert, right? And actually, what I'm going to do is a little bit different. I'm going to go to filter, and I'm going to say green, right? Just to use this. So I use the filter up here on the row, and not the filter panel down here, the filter up here on the row. So I want everything that's green plastics. L-A-S-T-I-C-K-S. All right, so I did a filter on green plastics. It could have been on the total is greater than $1 million or disbursement dates in the past. Whatever conditions you want, you can throw at this system now. So here's green plastics, and I want to create an alert. Create an alert. And again, it tries to build it up here. Mortgage, all dates, because we had all dates selected, where the contact company contains green plastics. All right, there it is. Thank you very much. I'm going to come into this alert. So green plastics might be my biggest client. I'm a sales guy in the pipeline. And anytime that there's a new entry for green plastics inside of the mortgage table, I'm going to get notified of it. So here it is. Here's the preview, green plastics. Right? Again, we built this up. Right? So there's mortgage dates, all green plastics. I can come along and say, hey, send me an email on running on a schedule, and every Monday morning I want to be sent all of my mortgages where green plastics is the company attached to it. So that's how flexible this system is. So we'll say save and close, and we now have an alert going out. Okay. Again, what I want to emphasize here with Impact is the number of functionalities that we have done here. Really, go back and look at what we've done, and we spend most of the time on the list views, contact list, opportunity list. We touched on a custom table, a mortgage table, right? And just by being able to come along into here, find the information we want, like running a report, right? Finding the information we want, putting our criteria on it, we're able to send out notifications and alerts to anybody that we want to. And all we had to do was just go to alerts and go to notifications. Not a lot of things to do, screen-wise, not a lot of things to learn. Again, the alerts, if we just say, let's just go notifications, manage notifications. Like here's all my notifications, and I can see, oh, this one is scheduled at 4 a.m., right? This one, all employees, there's 24 of them, and my daily limit, remember we talked about the daily limit, is only send out 20 a day. Here's the webinar. Like I did notifications in here for this webinar. So today's webinar for resellers. I sat in here and did this morning. So it's not just a text-based system. So I had graphics, I had links in here. This is a full email editor. And as you can see, I set down the condition to be, everybody that's marked in this demo database as a reseller, which I imported all the resellers in here. So if I come into here, I can just say, hey, preview this email. And there's the emails that I sent you guys with links and everything else. So all that tracking was done via Impact, via a notification system, which is literally one screen. Just come along here and modify your notification. Okay? Well, so those who don't know Impact, please download it. You're going to install it. It doesn't change your database. So if you install Impact and you don't like it, which I don't see why, but if you don't like it, you just uninstall it and there's no changes to your database. You'll be working identical the way you worked yesterday. If you download it and install it, you have 30-day free trial, and then after 30 days, you can make the decision whether to purchase it or not. For those that are using Impact currently, yes, come up. This is the latest version. It's on our website now. So if we go to here and go to Impact, but down here under download the latest version. Today, as of this recording, it's 12.2.106. If you want to look at release notes, here's what the release notes are, what was changed, what was added, like here, added to 30, 60, 90 days, right? Very powerful when you're trying to do alerts and notifications. That's why we added it. And there's other videos up here, email notifications. These are other pre-canned ones that you can go and watch. So again, I want to thank everybody for attending and have a great day.